Hi everyone, it's Wednesday. Um, my particular booklet was kind of messed up in terms of the order, which is why I printed it out on paper so I could actually do this. If you're following in the booklet, those three sections we're doing today are Peter denies Jesus, the mocking and beating of Jesus, and Jesus before the council. Then they seized him and led him away, bringing him into the high priest's house. But Peter was following at a distance. When they had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat down together, Peter sat among them. Then a servant girl, seeing him in the firelight, stared at him and said, "This man also was with him." But he denied it, saying, "Woman, I do not know him." A little later, someone else, on seeing him, said, "You also are one of them." But Peter said, "Man, I am not." Then about an hour later, still another kept insisting, "Surely this man also was with him, for he is a Galilean." But Peter said, "Man, I do not know what you are talking about." At that moment, while he was still speaking, the cock crowed. The Lord turned and looked at Peter. Then Peter remembered the word of the Lord, how he had said to him, "Before the cock crows today, you will deny me 3 times." And he went out and wept bitterly. Now the men who were holding Jesus began to mock him and beat him. They also blindfolded him and kept asking him, "Prophesy, who is it that struck you?" They kept hearing many other insults on it. They kept heaping many other insults on him. When day came, the assembly of the elders of the people, both chief priests and scribes, gathered together, and they brought him to their council. They said, "If you are the Messiah, tell us." He replied, "If I tell you, you will not believe. And if I question you, you will not answer. But from now on, the Son of Man will be seated at the right hand of the power of God." All of them asked, "Are you then the Son of God?" He said to them, "You say that I am." Then they said, "What further testimony do we need? We have heard it ourselves from his own lips." You see, the crime that they're trying to get him into is heresy. The interesting thing to me in doing this is that if you go and visit Israel and you go to Jerusalem, outside the walled temple, there is a rich area. Even in ancient Jerusalem, it's up on a hill, and that's where the rich people live, especially the chief priests and scribes live here. And then down below, just beneath the temple, there's a poor area, an area that's prone to flooding, etc., etc. As a matter of fact, the sewers ran through that poor area. But up in this rich area is the house of Caiaphas. And when you go there, the historians, the way they explain it to you is, inside this, and it's a very grand house, inside this grand house, there's a large cistern. A cistern is just like a huge basement. And it's used for putting water in it. In case of times of siege on the city, you would have this huge supply of water that you could use to sustain yourself while the city was under siege. And according to what the historians say, the mocking and beating of Jesus happened inside of this cistern in Caiaphas's house. When you're in there and you're in the cistern, you see the openings where they would pour the water in. I mean, Luke makes it sound like, he went to a student council meeting and was there in front of them. But they actually had him hanging from the wall by his arms, his feet not touching the ground. And they would lean in through the holes where you pour the water in, and they would question him. And I find it very interesting that they're the ones that put forth that he's the Son of Man, the Son of God. And all he says is, you say that I am. He doesn't say I am. And they use that as blasphemous talk. So they want to move on further. All right. I will be back tomorrow.